Hey y'all, it's Megan. Welcome back to the channel. Glad y'all are here today. We're going to start today's video off a little different than we normally do. Me and Maggie's fixing to make some chocolate chip pancakes this morning for breakfast, per Maggie's request. So, it's very simple. Y'all seen me make them before. I just kind of wing it like I do everything else, and they always turn out good. We're going to start off with a cup of self-rising flour. That's only half a cup.
Yeah. One more.
There we go. And we're going to need a tablespoon of sugar.
Yep.
Put that in there. We're going to also do a tablespoon of grease, melted grease. I'm going to use lard. Alright, sis. Mix that in. Now get us some milk. Put enough milk in it till it gets to a pancake consistency is the best way I know how to explain it.
Ooh.
See if that's enough. I'm going to go ahead before we put the chocolate chips in. I'm going to make Jacob a plain one. He don't care for the chocolate chips. Alright, I'm going to use my ice cream scoop to scoop some of that in there. We may have made that a little runny, Maggie.
Yeah.
It'll work.
Yeah, it'll work. Because it'll cook and make it kind of runny.
Yeah, it'll be alright. There's your chocolate chip.
Goes through there. And you match your handles.
Doesn't look too bad, does it? Here's Jacob's. You gotta put it all in there at one time. Scoop it. Alright, squeeze the handle. Perfect, perfect, perfect.
That looks so delicious. That looks so delicious.
It does, don't it? Well, how is it?
Good.
Did you do a good job?
Mm-hmm.
Well, get my critters fed this morning. And then me and Megan have got a long day's worth of work ahead of us here. But first, everything's got to be fed. So you can see the hay ring right there that we just recently added out here. Man, let me tell you what. It is amazing how much less hay them cows eat right there with the hay ring. Are you hungry? Are you hungry? You poor thing, you're going to starve, ain't you? Y'all have pushed the darn trough out into the mud. You sorry, pigs. Starving to death. What that? Boy, oh boy, they got them a nice mud hole in there, ain't they? Shoo. Their water here is over here in the corner, right in front of that mud hole. I guess I'm gonna have to find somewhere else to set it. So now that we're actually getting rain, it's a mess. I still keep water in that big water trough down there because I ain't quite figured out if all the pigs like drinking out of this water right here yet. You know, it's got the nipple on it, and I just still see a whole lot of them drink out of that. So I keep I wash that water out every so often and put fresh in it, but they definitely drink out of that water though.
So here's what we're going to be doing the rest of the day. You saw us go through and pick our purple hull peas and our October beans, and we've probably got a good day's worth of shelling ahead of us. It's all hands on deck.
Yeah, boy. We've got a ton of questions about these things, like what do the purple hull peas taste like, and what do the October beans taste like? And y'all, the best way I can describe that is these purple hull peas here are like a black-eyed pea. You know, I know most people probably know what a black-eyed pea is. And these are just simply a pink-eye pea. You see, it's got the pink eye on it instead of a black eye. And I mean, in my opinion, they do taste better than a black-eyed pea. But they're the same type of tea. They grow the same. They're like in the same family and all that. Then your October beans, which we're going to be shelling today too, they put you in the mind of a pinto. I think they're about the closest thing you can grow to a pinto that's not a pinto. Matter of fact, I wouldn't be afraid to say they're better than a pinto. But they essentially are, we do them the same way. You sit here and shell them out just like this right here.
I know folks down south, these field peas, that's their staple. That's their thing. Well, people here, like, we enjoy these peas, like they're delicious. But our big thing, and anybody really around in this area anyway, is pintos. Everybody here, pintos and cornbread.
Pintos.
So the October beans, like Andy said, is about the closest thing, because pintos don't grow great here. But them October beans are right up there with some good pintos.
Like I said, they're, depending on who you ask, I wouldn't be afraid to say they're better than pintos.
So while we're sitting here shelling, me and Andy was talking about it. We thought it might be a good time to go through some of our questions, some of our most asked questions for the month of July, and answer a few of those. And, you know, maybe it'll help somebody. Or if you're just curious. The first question is about my big pot that I use. In a lot of the videos, that big, I guess it's stainless.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because it's heavy. It ain't light. That big stainless pot that I use in a lot of the videos. So that pot, y'all, my mama got that for us as a wedding gift almost 12 years ago now. And I will have to say, I mean, I've got my use out of that thing.
You use it all the time.
I use it all the time.
For everything.
Especially this time of year, and actually I make my lard in it. I mean, I do. That thing gets put through some heavy use, to say the least. But that is actually a Biltmore belly Stockpot, and I wasn't sure of the size of it, but Mama has one just like it. She bought mine and hers at the same time back when she bought that one, and she actually measured it, because it don't say on it what size it is, and Mama measured it, and she told me that it was 12 quarts. It held 12 quarts. Now, and I'll link it down in the description on the Belk's website. That's not an affiliate link or anything like that. I love that thing though. It's my favorite, my absolute favorite pot. The next question is about a second cookbook. So I've had this asked a lot. I mean, not just for the month of July, but a lot, you know, through time. And I'm slowly working on the possibility of a second cookbook. And I'm going to be honest with y'all, you know, I have in my mind how I want this cookbook to be. I have a vision in my mind that I'm slowly, I would say putting on paper, but you don't put stuff on paper anymore, that I'm slowly typing up on the virtual piece of paper. And,
on the computer.
Yeah, on the computer. And I just want to make sure that I represent our little corner of the world as best I can. And that is my goal for that second cookbook. And for those of you that have bought the very first cookbook, that one's 3 or 4 years old. I wrote it back then, actually just as a small little cookbook for folks here in the community. Never thought that things would grow like they have, honestly. And for those of you that have bought that too, thank y'all so much. And I do hope that y'all are enjoying it. I know it's small, but there is a lot of good recipes in there.
But there's going to be a lot more
Oh, yeah.
thought that goes into this second one.
Yes. Yeah, because I kind of threw that one together. I ain't going to lie. Which, I mean, it still took me like 6 months to make that one.
Yeah, and I mean, I wouldn't be afraid to say that a year from now, we're still sitting here saying we're working on it.
Yeah, it's
Because
possible.
it could possibly take that long.
It's possible.
Maybe a year from now.
But like I said, I just want to make sure that I represent our little corner of the world the best that I know how.
You'll probably really crack down on it this winter when things start slowing down.
Yeah, right now.
Right now, y'all, it's just busy.
Yep, very much so.
And before we get into anything else, that's something else I'd like to mention is I know, I just shot you a pea, Maggie. We say all the time, if you want to get in touch with us, either leave a comment or email us. And if we see it, we will get back in touch with you. And right now, y'all, we do have a list of emails that need to be answered. We will get back to them. We promise.
And lately, we're having a hard time keeping up with all the comments. And we are so thankful for everybody that comments on the videos and likes the videos and shares the videos. And we try to just keep up the best we can. But it's a busy time of year, and the garden waits for nobody.
Yeah, so don't be surprised if you shoot us an email and it ends up taking over a week to get back to you. Don't get worried. We will get back to you. It's just sometimes we'll finally just set a little time aside, maybe late at night or something, and go through and answer some. But that's just honestly the best we can do right now.
Yep, that's right.
So what's your next question you've got there?
Oh, where are we? So, we've had that question a lot lately, new folks coming around and things, and we are actually in the foothills of North Carolina. The Ford trucks in the woods, dear. We have so many people ask you about those Ford trucks that sit over there in the edge of the woods.
Yeah, those Ford trucks are just like everything else I got. They got some sentimental value. One of these days, I do, whenever I get time and have a place to work on them and whatever. I mean, honestly, the red and white one, I really don't know what's wrong with it. I've worked on it several years ago. I started working on it. I never could quite figure it out.
You worked on it for a long time trying to figure it out, yeah.
I mean, I know it can be fixed, and I'm sure since it's been sitting, there's probably other things that's went bad on it. But I've had that truck a very, very long time. And
well, that was kind of your first big purchase.
That was my first work truck.
Yep.
That was the first thing I had ever saved up enough cash to actually go buy. And yeah, I don't know. Things like that to me, for some reason or another, they just kind of hold a little bit of sentimental value, and I don't ever really intend on getting rid of it. I've had numerous people try to buy it.
Yep.
And I know it's going bad sitting there, and it's not good for it to be sitting there, but anything mechanical can be fixed. And then the old brown truck that's over there beside it, that was my grandpa's truck. And I was actually driving that truck up until just a couple years ago, and the oil pump is messed up in it. It's got the 300 6-cylinder in it. And,
Yes.
And the oil pump messed up. And, well, when that happened, I was like, well, I'm going to park it beside this one. I'll fix it when I get time. And, it's just on the back burner. Time is something that seems like none of us really have a whole lot of, and I will fix it one of these days. It may be about like Megan's cookbook. It may be years from now. I don't know, but one of these days I will fix that truck and get it back going too.
I think you should tell them the story of your grandpa in that truck. About the brakes?
Yeah, so the brake booster is bad in it, and for anybody that don't know what a brake booster is, that's the piece that's right behind the firewall under the hood that your brake pedal and all connects to, and that helps you have power brakes. Well, the booster had a hole in it, so it was constantly sucking air. And you could ride with Grandpa down the road, and he could not hear it for nothing. And I tell him all the time how...
it was loud,
Oh,
too.
it's very loud.
Yeah.
And he'd say, ain't nothing wrong with this truck. I don't hear anything. And I'm like, Grandpa, the booster's it's leaking. I mean, he never could hear it. Anybody that rode with him, of course, would hear it. Like, what's that noise? But, yeah, he never did hear that brake booster leaking. So, I kind of, even if I did get it back running, I'll be honest with you, I don't even know if I'd want to fix it.
I know. It wouldn't be right riding in that truck without that thing going shh.
But, anyways, yeah, that's the story behind those two trucks. They're not going anywhere. To be honest, even if they sit there from now to the day I'm gone, they're probably not going anywhere.
No. They ain't hurting nothing sitting there.
Yeah, they ain't eating nothing and they ain't costing nothing. So, the funny thing is, the red and white truck, I actually had insurance on it for 2 years after I parked it.
While it's sitting in the woods.
I had already canceled the tags on it, but I just happened to be looking at my insurance statement one winter, and after I got it, and I looked, because the insurance on it was extremely cheap. So, I mean, I didn't really notice it being on there. And I looked, and I told Megan, I said, can you believe I've still got insurance on that truck sitting out there? And it'd been parked for 2 years at that time.
Has it been parked that long?
It's been parked. I think around 2018 was the last. Because when I was looking through my phone.
I guess that's right, because Maggie was a baby. I don't know if Maggie's ever even rode in it.
Jacob used to ride in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Maggie, I don't think it's ever rode in it. And I was looking through my phone here the other day, and I found a picture from 2018 and we was on that truck. And I'm going to assume that was probably about the last time that it was really being run.
Do you remember when I used to work out at the hospital out there? And so the hospital I used to work out is almost an hour from here out in the big city. And Andy would come get me on that thing. You remember that?
I drove that truck everywhere.
Yep,
I mean, you know.
That was his snow truck, too. That thing went good in the snow.
It went good everywhere. But, I mean, I did. I drove that truck everywhere. I used to, like I said, I worked out of it for many years. It's rough.
Me and you and Granny rode in and out there to see Daddy in the hospital in the snow. You remember that?
We cut a donut in the Taco Bell parking lot.
And my Granny had a fit. She loved it. Had a fit in a good way, like that.
Yeah, and like I said, you know, there was nobody around because everything was covered in snow, and I was just going to pick up Megan from work.
No, that's when we was going to see Daddy at the hospital.
Oh, that is right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if you go back all the way to the beginning of our channel, you'll find a video of that truck.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, you will.
Yeah, there is.
A terrible flip phone quality video.
The very first video on this channel is that video.
I didn't have the heart to take it down.
Yeah, and we just couldn't take it down. That truck's made multiple trips to West Virginia and back, hauling her four-wheelers when we used to go riding. I mean, it's pulled the horse trailer to Mount Rogers and back when we used to go ride horses.
Yep.
It's done a lot.
That's why we can't get rid of it. That's why it'll sit there around.
Well, like I said, I was proud of that truck when I bought it.
I know you was. I know.
I paid $2,800 for it. I can't remember what year it was. I mean, it's been...
We wasn't married.
Yeah, it's been a long time ago. And like I said, I just had saved up enough cash to buy it. I paid $2,800 for it and thought that, man, you'd have thought I owned the world after I got that truck.
I remember.
Brought it home and it wasn't cranked. We hauled it home so I didn't have to drive it home because we had to go a pretty good ways off to get it. And when I got home with it, it wasn't cranked. So I had to shoot it with ether, and come to find out the glow plugs was bad on it, which wasn't no big deal. I mean, that was really easy to fix, but you know, that's just the way it went that day. We rode all the way up there, test drove it, checked it out or whatever, and when we got home, it was cold outside, and it would not crank, it wouldn't hit a lick. So I squirted it with ether, and it fired right up, but like I said, I had to replace the glow plugs in it. What, honey?
Give me some more beans.
Okay. We might get through these pretty quick if y'all keep helping. We've made a dent in them.
We are.
And that's the story on the two trucks. And I'm sure somebody's still going to ask in a future video, what's the deal with the two trucks sitting in the edge of the woods?
Yeah.
And there's a lot more trucks sitting down there in the woods at Papa's.
That's not the only two old trucks I have.
No, that's the only two that you can
That's
see.
the only two y'all ever see.
Yeah.
I was an avid truck enthusiast when I was a teenager. And I still have a lot of those old trucks and parts trucks and stuff that I had bought back then.
Well, you bought a parts truck for that red and white truck.
No, I bought a... Yeah, I did, didn't I?
Yeah, because remember
the engine out of it.
And the hood flew up on... Wasn't that the red and white truck the hood flew up on you?
Yeah, we went to Asheville and bought a hood and bed for it.
Yeah.
What happened to the bed?
When the wheel fell off of it one day when I was hauling a load of equipment.
That's right, I forgot about
The
that.
lug nuts apparently were loose, and the wheel fell off and run up under the bed and jacked the whole truck up and come down. And I landed in the middle of the road and the wheel went past me, like flying. And before I even knew what was going on, like there goes my wheel, my hind rear wheel past me, and it hit a road sign. And thank goodness there was no cars coming, because if there had been a car coming, it would have totaled that car. But when it hit that road sign, the whole sign just went boom. Like, I mean, if it hadn't hit that road sign, who knows where it would have stopped? Because it was.
Yeah, you told me it was flying.
It was flying.
Was you pulling a trailer?
I had the trailer
That's what I
behind
thought.
me, and I had a pallet of fertilizer in the bed of the truck. So there I was on the side of the road, on a fairly busy road, stuck. Couldn't go nowhere. And finally,
couldn't even get off the side of the road.
Yeah, and I didn't even have a jack with me. And the guy, and luckily a man stopped, and he had the jack in his truck. He lifted it up. Well, we used the jack to jack it up, and I pulled a lug nut off of each wheel. I went around and got like 2 off each wheel and put enough on it to get it back on there. And you talking about being paranoid? I was paranoid the rest of the day after driving that truck. But it had a set of aluminum wheels on it that were kind of junky anyways, and the lugs just would not stay tight on those wheels. So I ended up getting rid of those things and bought me a set of steel wheels, and I never had no more problems with it.
I totally forgot about that.
Oh,
But then-
there's been several incidences on that.
And
truck.
you was going through town, and for whatever reason, your hood flew up.
That was
Remember?
over here. No, that was just right down the road here.
Right, but
And my hood just boom flew up. It come unlatched
and it
flew
bent
up.
it all to pieces when
Yeah.
it did that.
How'd it been the hood?
Because I guess it flew up.
Because it flew back and hit the windshield.
Yeah, like it flew all the way back.
It's a wonder it didn't break the windshield out of it, but it didn't. I'm like that. I get sentimental with anything mechanical for some reason. I get sentimental with a lot of stuff.
I'm sentimental with my Ford lawnmower. I don't want to get rid of it.
Well, that's all right.
Oops, I threw that in the wrong boat.
All right, let's see. What do we do with our extra produce? We get that question a lot. I guess because we grow so much, you know, we do have extra occasionally. And if we do have extras, we give it away. I mean, to be completely honest with you, to family, to some friends, you know, once I've canned or froze or whatever, put up everything that we need to get us through till next year, then, you know, we start making phone calls. We've got some elderly neighbors we take a lot of stuff to that, you know, used to grow gardens and are not able to anymore. So,
And then grandma and mamas get a lot of it too.
Yep, that's right. Well, they're counted as family members.
Well, yeah. But truth be known, is we don't have a whole lot of extras. Because when you actually eat most of your meals at home,
You go through this stuff in a hurry.
You eat at home grown stuff like what we do, you go through it. I think a lot of times it takes a lot more than what people realize.
Right.
To get you through a year's worth of eating. Especially when you're feeding 2 little kids too that don't know how to quit eating.
They're growing.
Yep.
But yeah, what little bit of extra we do have, you know, we give it away. Like I said, to family members, neighbors, friends. That's where it goes.
What happened?
We don't let it go to waste, and if something is rotten, like all those potatoes, like all those tomatoes that were out there in the garden that had, you know, had the blossom end rotten stuff, we gathered those up and actually gave those to the chickens, and they cleaned them up.
Me too. I did all of them to my blossom end rotten.
Yep. And, you know, so we try to make sure it doesn't go to waste if we can help it anyway.
Next one's about a freeze dryer.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people ask us all the time, why don't y'all have a freeze dryer? Or wouldn't you love to have a freeze dryer? You know, or something like that. And truth be told, yeah, it would be pretty cool to have a freeze dryer.
What's a freeze dryer?
It's something that, it's a different way of preserving food for like long-term storage.
Yeah. Like it'll
Like
store
very
for
long-term storage. We don't really have much experience with a freeze dryer. We've seen a couple in person or whatever, but we've never actually dealt with one. But after seeing one in person, we realized we simply don't have enough room to put one.
Yep.
It
It would have to sit either out here on the porch or the middle of my living room.
And that ain't gonna happen. And quite frankly, them things are expensive, y'all.
Yes.
Like, they are very expensive. And, you know...
People have made it for many years without them. And
yeah, I mean, I think it is to me, a freeze dryer is more of a luxury than a necessity.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, it would be cool to have one, and I mean, if you're trying to put up food for some extremely long time, that would be pretty cool. And maybe one of these days we can have one, but like I said, I just don't see that we need one.
Right.
And y'all know us, we like to be realistic with people. And spending several $1,000s on a freeze dryer, like I said, it's awesome. It's cool. And if we had a place to put one, we would do it. But in reality, how many people are actually going to spend...
Or be able to.
Or be able to spend several $1,000s on a freeze dryer.
Because honestly, at this point in our life, not exactly...
Yeah, most people now don't have that kind of money they can just go spend on a freeze dryer. So, that's the reason we don't have one. And that's not saying that a couple years from now, y'all go back and watch this video and then we've got a freeze dryer. You know, we might. But
I still don't know where we would put it.
I have no idea where we would put one.
Even if I did want one.
Unless if we build a certain spot to put one.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'd have to add on to the house because, y'all, we live in a small house. We have, like, 900 square foot downstairs, and upstairs it's like...
It ain't much.
It ain't very much at all. 2 half rooms upstairs. That's the kids' rooms. And, you know, we have a small house, so every little inch of space inside that house counts.
Yep. But, you know what? Small houses bring you closer together because it forces you to spend time with each other.
Yeah, that's right. You can't get away from nobody in that house. And you know something else? Small houses are a whole lot cheaper to maintain.
That's right.
Keep up.
But there
Easier to keep
ain't
clean.
nothing wrong with living in a little house. Ain't nothing wrong with living in a big house.
Okay.
But
My grandma and grandpa raised 2 kids right here.
And
done just fine with it.
yep.
Y'all are raising 2 kids.
And we raising 2 kids right here. That's what me and the youngins were just talking about is how many, well, before we started the video, how many actual peas and stuff have been shelled on this back porch.
I'm sure a
lot.
ton.
Between snapping green beans and shelling peas, there's no telling how many's been done on this back porch.
We've had several people ask about our pigs, what weight we grow them out to, and when we butcher them. So, for those of you that may not know, we do butcher our own pigs. And we do it just like you read in the books, pretty much, but anymore. But we do our hog killing, that's just what we call it. I know some people get offended by that for whatever reason, but that's what it is. That's what we call it. We do that. Start the weekend after Thanksgiving and try to finish up by Christmas because the weather's got to be right. It's got to be cool outside before you go to try to butcher these animals, and we had to figure that out the hard way with these meat chickens too. Because it just don't make no sense trying to do something in the middle of the summertime, fighting heat and ice and everything else, messing with meat. So, and you know, with the hogs, we do our own country ham and bacon and all that, which has to just set out, you know, and cure. And if you try to do that in the heat, it
won't work.
It ain't gonna work.
No, that meat will go bad before it takes the salt and cures.
Right.
So you have to do it in the cooler weather.
So how big are our pigs?
Typically, they dress out around, and when I say dress out, that's hanging weight, you know, gutted, no head.
Yeah.
Typically around 400 to 450. On occasion, we might have one go 500. That's a little more rare these days than what we used to. But, you know, that's getting them.
That's big.
That's usually around, we usually get them around the end of March to sometime in April. They're usually around 8 to 10 weeks old when we get them. And then we feed them just pretty much just as hard as we can feed them until November gets here.
Yep.
We don't do we don't measure out how much feed they get in a day. We don't try to get specific with that. We literally feed them hogs.
As much as they want to eat.
They get as much as they can eat. They have unlimited access to feed unless the feeder runs out of food.
Well, me and Maggie, not counting the feed that the hogs eat, me and Maggie feed them 6 scoops, around 6 scoops a day.
For their
I'll
slop.
also make up some slop for them.
Yeah.
And back when Candy was still being milked a lot, she they got a lot of milk and stuff like that too. Now let me tell you something. Milk, fresh cow's milk will grow a hog.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's what got them such a good start.
I think so too.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
really helped them get a. I mean, we was getting all that excess milk at the perfect time.
Because all the hogs are, two of the hogs are done this big.
I know they look good.
Now, you know, if we were having to buy our feed from a feed store, that would be extremely expensive after a while. And it still honestly ain't cheap to do it the way we do it. I've never really showed it on the channel, but me and Daddy, we buy a load of corn, or actually a couple loads of corn a year, and grind it with a hammer mill behind the tractor and mix in all of our stuff that way, and so we make our own feed, and it does come out cheaper. I've never actually figured up how much cheaper it comes out than versus buying feed from the store.
Even if it's $1 cheaper, it's still cheaper.
That's right.
You're right.
You just got to do the work. But I think that doing it that way, you get a better quality feed. Maybe one of these days I will show that on our channel here. I don't know. I never have.
A lot of people want to know where we got these gliders from.
Oh, these chairs here?
Yeah.
This was your birthday present.
Yes, it was.
So, guys, these things are awesome.
They rock so smooth and they just feel so good.
Yes, they do.
And it don't take nothing to rock them. You just swing your head back and forth and they'll rock.
Yep.
So, anybody local to the Southwest Virginia, Northwest North Carolina, Central North Carolina, or whatever, you may know where Medicine, Virginia is. They came from a Amish hardware store. It's not technically like an Amish store. It's just owned by the Amish up there.
Yeah, it's a hardware store.
It's a hardware store, and they...
And that's also where we got our greenhouse down here from.
That's exactly where our greenhouse came from. They make these up there locally in Medicine, Virginia, and they're made by the Amish. I'm pretty sure they're made by the Amish.
I think that's what you told me, yeah.
If you look behind them, you can see.
So the name of the store up in Medicine is Frontier Farm and Home Center. Farm and Garden Center.
And they also sell plants and seeds.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they sell about anything that one of your hardware / farm and garden stores would sell. Now, I will say these chairs are a little bit pricey.
Yeah.
But I don't figure we'll ever have to buy no more chairs for this back porch. And y'all, if you could sit in them, you would have bought them too.
Yep. Do we work outside of doing all this? That's a question we get a lot too. Do we still work?
Yes.
Yes.
I run a landscaping business, and there was a time when we were mowing, just me and one other guy were roughly mowing about almost 100 yards a week, and still doing landscaping jobs on top of that, and coming home and doing just about everything you see us do now. It was just everything had to be done in a hurry, like everything.
Yep.
I don't do near that much work now. I've actually cut back quite a bit from what I used to do, just simply because of, well, all kinds of reasons. Everything got so expensive to run. The labor costs are so expensive nowadays. Finding good help is such a problem nowadays. So,
And it was finally just a better financial decision just to cut back.
And so I did, and it was probably one of the best moves I ever made. Because now we only work about 4 days a week, where I used to be on the go, hard as we could stand to go, 5 days a week. I typically never really worked on the weekends. I was always saving my weekends for what had to be done here. Even if we got behind, like, I never worked on weekends. All of my customers knew that I was not coming out on a weekend. They knew if for whatever reason by Friday I hadn't made it there, I'd be there on Monday. And so, I mean, I always had a really good relationship with all of my customers too. But yeah, that's what I do.
So right now I'm a part-time nurse. I work 1 or 2 days a week in home care is what I mostly do now. And I'm kind of one of those nurses, I guess you could say, I'm jack of all trades, master of none. I've done a little bit of everything in my nursing career. Been a nurse almost 12 years now, and have done a little bit of everything. But I decided to cut back. I don't know, Maggie was little.
Yeah.
Probably, what, 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I just felt like money wasn't everything. And I finally, it took me a little while to figure that out, but money wasn't everything. And I figured out how to, we figured out how to get out of some debt we were in, and I was able to cut back to what I'm doing now. And I was working 3 jobs, but I will say that thanks to you all for watching the videos, sharing the videos, and supporting the channel, that I was able to let go of that 3rd job here a while back. I do want to say thank y'all for that.
And that 3rd job was the one that drug you down the most.
Yep, it sure was.
That's
the one I was ready to let go of. All right. I do want to say thank you all to anybody that has wrote us letters as well, or sent packages. To each and every one of y'all, thank y'all so much for your kindness. It does not go unnoticed. Thank y'all. And the last question: where did I learn to cook, and could I cook when we got married?
You were very good at cooking hamburger helper.
Yeah, I know. So yes, probably the first year at least that me and Andy were married, I didn't know how to cook a lot of stuff. So we did. We lived off a hamburger helper. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. We did, and I got old in a hurry.
Which at that time we still grew a lot, just not to the scale we do now.
Right. So I mean, yeah, I would cook stuff out of the garden, but as far as cooking like I do now, I don't know if I didn't know how. I guess I didn't know how.
Well, when we first got married, we was trying to figure everything out, and we honestly just didn't take time to do that. We were trying to eat in a hurry.
But yeah, and now, yeah, that's true. And so me and Andy both grew up, though, with mamas that cooked home-cooked meals every night of the week, pretty much. And so I knew, like, I needed to cook. I just didn't, I had to figure out, like he said, how to not be in a hurry, or how to make it more, use my time management. Like, if I was in a hurry, to still make good food, not just throw together some hamburger helper. So now I make homemade hamburger helper, and it's fabulous. I knew I wanted to be the wife like my mama and Andy's mama, to be able to, cook every night. Like, we never cared much for going out to eat much anyway, even back then. But I did have to figure it out, and it took me a while, and just, I don't know.
And you're still learning now.
I'm still, oh yeah. Like, there's many times that I'll call, if I got a question about something, or I want to fix something and I don't remember how to do it, I'll call my mama, I'll call his mama, or I'll call his grandma. And be like, how do you do this now? I can't remember. And I'm thankful to have, those resources. And all 3 of those women right there have made who you see now.
Yeah, but the main thing is with something like that is don't give up and never stop learning.
That's right. And if it don't turn out right the first time, heck, just try again. I still burn stuff. I still occasionally will fix something. I'll be like, I don't know what I did, but it don't taste like it's supposed to.
I remember eating stuff way back then that I'm not going to say wasn't worth eating, but could have been better. Yeah. And I never said nothing because I knew she was trying. And we joke about that nowadays, because, we can look back on it now and joke about it. But back then, I knew she was trying, and she was trying, and there was no way I would have ever said anything about it. But it's,
But now we laugh about it.
I'm
like, I know that was bad.
Yeah, now we laugh about it. It's all good. But, it takes time, it takes patience, and it takes determination.
And I'm going to tell you, the best tip I have for anybody learning to cook is remember that recipes are recommendations. They are not like, do it to your taste. If you try a recipe, whether it's my recipe, a recipe out of a cookbook, or whatever, like, I think I really started figuring out how to cook when I started tasting my food as I went. And I'd be like, you know what? I think it needs a little something. Or you know what? I done made that too salty. Even though this recipe's called for this much salt, I done made it too salty. So just remember that. I think that's a good tip for anybody learning to cook, is do it to your taste. Just because the recipe says do this, it don't mean you got to do it. Unless you're baking, of course. If you're baking like a cake or something, I would probably follow the recipe.
You can't exactly taste test that.
Yeah. But some of the rest of this stuff, that's why on a lot of that's why I'm not very good at giving instructions anymore. Is that's how I kind of taught myself to cook. Or just like with when I was first learning how to make gravy, Mama would say, keep adding salt till it tastes right. That's what Mama told me, because I remember calling her and I said, Mama, my gravy does not taste right. What is wrong with it? And she said, keep tasting it and keep adding salt till it tastes like you want it to. And sure enough, I still do that now.
It worked.
Yeah, it worked. A lot of people want to know, like, how long we've been together and stuff like that.
Been married for 11 years. Been together for 15, 16?
2008.
2008?
How long is that?
I don't know.
16. 16 years.
Yeah, and you know, the biggest advice I could give anybody is, if you're in a marriage or whatever and y'all are trying to do this, you just work together.
Right.
Don't say, well, you got to do this right here, or you don't do that. Don't isolate things. Now, there is things, like obviously Megan, she does a lot of the cooking and I don't, but we always,
yeah, but
we work together.
Yeah, I was going to say, but if I looked at you and said, Andy, can you please cook supper tonight?
Oh, I would.
Yes.
In a heartbeat. But still, you know, don't think that somebody's got to do this job and somebody's got to do this job. Like, just... You're
a team.
Yeah, you're a team. Yeah, treat it like you're a team. Like you're a sports team and you're trying to win the game. That's it right there.
Well, guys, I guess that's going to wrap up today's video. So, I hope y'all enjoyed this little porch session with us, sitting here shelling these peas. We're getting there. We've made a good dent in them.
We have made a good dent.
Yeah.
We've got a lot less.
Got a lot less than we started with.
Yeah. I think we're less than half left in there. I've almost filled this pot up. Look at this.
That's good.
Mama, you need
Well, I said me and the kids have almost filled this pot up. They've been doing it pretty good over
Yeah,
here.
they have.
Hey, look where I'm
But
sitting.
anyways, guys, I hope y'all really enjoyed today's video. Hope you might have learned a little something. Until we see y'all on the next one.
Y'all have a good one.
Have a good one.